Perdóname, no sé lo que pasó contigo, que no te veo como antes. Tus manos ya me daban frío, no tenía cómo calentarme. Lo siento por apenas contarte, no quería lastimarte. Confieso que en medio de tu descuido he conocido mucha gente. Sabes que yo no soy de amigos, pero tú estabas tan ausente, tan distante. Las cosas cambian bastante, has dejado de importarme. Yo sé cómo pasó esa distancia que tenía.
That was Manuel Turizo with Culpables, the Trap Mix. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for March 7th through March 14th, 2022. A mass shooting in South Chicago near Cheltenham left 7 men injured. According to police, a group of people were standing outside the Little Caesars on the 7900 block of South Exchange. Around 3:30, a car pulled up to the group, and people began exchanging words. After a brief discussion, someone in the vehicle began opening fire. The area shot spotter detected over 60 rounds being fired. Police are unsure if a second vehicle was involved in the shooting and are currently reviewing surveillance camera footage. The victims' ages ranged from 31 to 63 years. The victims were taken to area hospitals. A 31-year-old was shot in the abdomen and a 34-year-old in the chest. Both have been reported in critical condition. 4 other men were struck in the leg and a 51-year-old was hit in the hip. All 5 were last reported in good condition. Anyone with information on this or other Chicago crimes is asked to call 311 or leave an anonymous tip at cpdtip.com. A security guard for WGN-TV was killed in a South Shore shooting on Monday the 7th. Around 3 p.m., 35-year-old Selena Claiborne had stopped at the mobile gas station located on the 6700 block of South Jeffrey after work. Someone reportedly pulled up to her car in a black car and began opening fire in what is suspected to be an attempted carjacking. Claiborne, who was still in uniform at the time, was struck in her shoulder and face. She was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where she was pronounced dead. Claiborne was remembered as a friendly, thoughtful, and hardworking mother. She worked for Allied Universal Security, where she was posted at WGN Studios.
Heart is breaking, so I don't know how I'm going to get through. I don't.
All my favorite things, all things me and my mom had in common, well, now actually make me cry. They used to make me laugh.
There's no words or anything that anybody can say to console us right now because a piece of us is gone.
A man was found shot to death on Thursday in South Shore. 29-year-old Riddell Curry was found on the 7300 block of South Phillips around 6 a.m. He was found with multiple gunshot wounds and pronounced dead at the scene. No further information was given on the shooting. A shooting in Hegewisch left a man in critical condition on Friday. Around 11:35 p.m., the man was driving on the 13300 block of South Commercial. According to reports, an unidentified person fired shots at the vehicle, striking the man. The man was struck in the back of the head by the gunfire. The man continued driving until he crashed into a pole a few blocks away. The man was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. He was last listed in critical condition. The body of a 64-year-old man was found dead in Lake Michigan near South Chicago on Sunday. The man was found around 3:40 p.m. on the 9100 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Chicago Fire Department pulled the man from the water, but he was found unresponsive and pronounced dead at the scene. Results of an autopsy have not yet been released. A Lansing man was killed after a crash with a semi on I-80-94 on Friday. The crash occurred around 1 a.m. on I-80-94, heading westbound, around 1.5 miles east of State Line. The man was driving a red 2009 Cadillac CTS when he lost control of the vehicle and spun into the path of a 2016 Freightliner semi. The semi struck the driver's side of the Cadillac and then slammed into a concrete barrier on the right side of the road. The trailer detached and overturned. The semi driver, who was uninjured, and a passing driver attempted to rescue the man from the Cadillac and deliver first aid. The man was taken to Munster Community Hospital, where he died from his injuries. In other news, a Hobart man has changed his plea to guilty in the murder of 9-year-old Olivia Hummel. The child's father, 38-year-old Eric Hummel, pled guilty on Thursday to reckless homicide and neglect of a dependent. According to reports on June 10, 2017, Hummel was in a bedroom with his 2 sons showing them a handgun. Hummel allegedly pointed the gun at the boys and pulled the trigger. At that point, the gun did not go off. However, shortly after, 9-year-old Olivia walked into the room with the boys and father. It was then that Eric Hummel pointed the gun at Olivia and pulled the trigger, firing a shot that struck her in the head. Hummel claims he did not know the gun was loaded at the time. As part of a plea deal, he changed his plea to guilty for a level 5 and level 6 felony. The level 6 felony carries a sentence of between 6 months to 2.5 years, while the level 5 felony has a sentence between 1 and 6 years.
It's kind of sad to see like her face on walls and stuff, but it's happy to know that people know who she is and stuff.
A reported member of the Latin Dragon street gang was sentenced during the week for involvement in drug and gun trafficking, along with 2 East Side homicides. 20-year-old Justin Anaya pleaded guilty to federal racketeering charges. Anaya was one of 19 members of the Latin Dragons indicted in 2017 in a federal organized crime sweep. In the agreement, Anaya admitted that he was involved in 2 homicides on the East Side. Anaya admitted driving the stolen car used in the 2017 murder of 10-year-old Gustavo Garcia. According to reports, Anaya was the driver, and Alec Nathaniel Aguilar fired the shots at a vehicle on 95th and Avenue N they believe was occupied by rival gang members. A 31-year-old man was also injured in the shooting. Anaya also admitted to being in the car with Aguilar and Keenan Seymour when they murdered 22-year-old Manuel Salazar on 100th and Avenue M. Anaya was sentenced to 35 years in prison. And finally, during the week, an announcement was made that the 2022 Mass Flow Reggaeton Fest will be held in Calumet Park. The festival is a 3-day event that will take place between July 15th and July 17th. A number of popular reggaeton musicians will be playing at the event, including Zion and Lennox, Don Omar, Manuel Turizo, Cinco, Gaina, Lenny Taveras, Ivy Queen, Tito El Bambino, Emilia, and many others. Tickets for the event range from $75 to $100 for single-day general admission to $200 to $225 for 3-day general admission passes. Tickets can be purchased at www.massflowshy.com. And that ends our weekly review from March 7th to March 14, 2022. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.
Perdóname, no sé lo que pasó contigo, que no te veo como antes. Tus manos ya me daban brillo, no tenía cómo calentar. Lo siento por apenas contar, no quería lastimarte. Yo sé cómo pasó, yo sé esa distancia que teníamos, lentamente estaba matándonos. Si hay un culpable aquí somos los dos, pero ella no. Yo sé cómo pasó esa distancia que teníamos, lentamente estaba matándonos. Si hay un culpable aquí somos los dos, pero ella no.